We end the evening with a story by Dr. Lynn Ngo. And Lynn is a clinical assistant professor at Stanford Medical School, practicing internal medicine. You'll hear that she's been a doctor for decades in the United States, but you're also going to hear how improbable a story that is, given her history. And I know she doesn't need any extra patience, but I'd choose you in a heartbeat if I was a Kaiser patient. Well, Stanford patient now. She practices internal medicine. Besides English, she speaks Vietnamese, Mandarin, and Cantonese. She considers herself a melting pot of Vietnamese, Chinese, and American. So let's get inspired, as I've been all summer long.
Good evening, everybody. I am Vietnamese of Chinese origin. I was born and grew up in South Vietnam. Both my parents came from China, migrated to Vietnam just like many other Chinese. The Chinese immigrants live in the big cities in Vietnam. They were very successful in business. They stuck together. They spoke Chinese. They went to their own Chinese schools. And they did not want to have intermarriage with the local Vietnamese. I grew up very differently. I lived in the countryside. We were very poor. We made soy sauce as a living. And we mixed very well with our Vietnamese clients and neighbors. I also went to Vietnamese high school after finishing Chinese junior high. To me, China is my fatherland, thousands of miles away, existing in my imagination. But Vietnam is my motherland, which embraced and nurtured me. I love Vietnam. I love the people, the rich culture, the beautiful music, and the fertile land. My two older brothers joined the South Republic Army. I lived through and survived the shooting and bombing of the Vietnam War together with my Vietnamese friends. In 1975, the war ended when communists took over South Vietnam. Shortly afterwards, I was accepted into Saigon Medical School. I was so excited to learn to be a physician. My life was turned upside down during my third year in medical school. The border war between Vietnam and China took place. The new communist government did not trust the ethnic Chinese because of their fierce loyalty to the Chinese traditions. I was asked by the school authority to join the army to prove my loyalty to Vietnam. I was asked to appear on the TV to appeal to my Chinese community to be loyal to Vietnam. My Vietnamese classmates were distant, but my Chinese friends and relatives grew suspicious of me because I went to Vietnamese medical school. I became a lonely outcast, did not know where I belonged. At the same time, the school authority found out that one of my older brothers got asylum to settle in the United States. So I was put under surveillance because of my Chinese origin, as well as my remote ties to the United States through my brother. My life was suffocating. As the border war between China and Vietnam continued, the ethnic Chinese began to leave Vietnam by boat, in a small number illegally initially, but then in large exodus with the encouragement of the Vietnamese government, who took bribery in the form of the gold bars and confiscated our properties and business. So my family were able to borrow the gold bars from our rich friends to secure our seats on a small wooden boat. The challenge for me is how to get away from medical school to get on the boat when I was closely monitored by the school authority. In that crucial moment, I was involved in a bicycle accident with a broken leg. I had to have a cast and walk with crutches. That got me the permission to leave medical school to go home to recuperate. And from then, I was able to get on the boat with my family. The journeys of the boat people from Vietnam to the refugee camps in the neighboring countries were dangerous. We were basically homeless, countryless, with no protection from anyone. So many perished in the ocean in the ill-equipped boats, and many others were robbed and killed by the Thailand pirates. And many women were raped and abducted and never seen again. Our boats were lucky. It's a small wooden boat packed with 300 people. We ran into the Thailand pirates twice, but we managed to escape unharmed. Our boat engine broke down once, but miraculously was repaired. So after about 5 days, with the guidance of the kind Malaysian fishermen, we got to a refugee camp called Pulau Bidong in Malaysia. But we were not permitted to land. We were told by the Malaysian Coast Guard that the camp was full. We need to stay on our boats in the backside of the island to wait for the Malaysian Navy to tow us to another different camp the next day. That evening, some refugees from the camp swam to our boat and told us, "Do not trust the Malaysian Coast Guards. Many boats have been towed to the high seas, and one boat was capsized a few days ago." So the next morning, the Malaysian Navy ship used a rope to pull our boat away from the island in high speed. So our boat captain decided to cut the rope and steer the boat toward the front side of the island, despite the warning shots by the Malaysian Navy. Many young people, including children, immediately jumped off the boat and swam toward the shore, and beaten brutally by the Malaysian Coast Guards. But a miracle happened. The United Nations delegation happened to be in the camp on that day and intervened on our behalf. So we were allowed to settle in the camp. Pulau Bidong Refugee Camp is a small island about 1 kilometer square that housed about 34,000 refugees in the peak time. Most refugees stay for about 6 to 9 months until they were accepted to resettle in a third country. Our family waited for 18 months to join my older brother in the United States. We stay in a small tent. We live on rice, green beans, and sardines. We managed to grow the bean sprout from the green beans, and that became our only source of vegetables. And during the monsoon seasons, the food supply was interrupted many times, and we would be starving for days. There was no electricity, running water, or toilets. We used water from the wells, and there was garbage and feces everywhere on the beach and in ocean water. There were so many rats running around the camp. The sanitation system was extremely poor. But miraculously, there were no outbreaks of any contagious disease. Since I had learned basic English during medical school, I was able to volunteer as an interpreter for the English-speaking delegation who came to interview and accept refugees to their countries. There, I met my would-be husband, who also worked as an interpreter and who left the camp before me. So finally, after 18 months, our family were accepted by the United States, and we came to the United States in 1980. We were sponsored by our church in North Hollywood, who helped us adapt to our new life in our new country. I went to UCLA for my undergraduate study, working very hard to overcome the language barriers. and I was accepted to Stanford Medical School with 1 year of full scholarship, and did my residency in internal medicine in Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. And since then, I have been working in different hospitals in the Bay Area, Kaiser Valley Medical Center, and now at Stanford. I enjoy working with diverse patient population. I also very enjoy teaching in the academic environments like Stanford. I was then reunited with my boyfriend from the refugee camp. We got married, and we raised 2 successful children. We live modestly, and we adapt well to this land of opportunity. We learn to enjoy the American lifestyle, like camping, barbecue during the holidays, and visiting the national parks. We also learn to respect the American values of honesty, transparency, and democracy. I have been working as a doctor for over 30 years with my conscience. I strongly believe in social justice and fairness. I was one of the first few physicians leading the process of unionizing physicians in Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. It's a county hospital. My life journey has instilled in me the patience, the resilience, and the determination to succeed. But it also caused long-lasting psychological trauma. I had recurrent nightmares about the Vietnam War, the political pressure and turmoil, and I would wake up in the morning feeling lonely and depressed. A trip 15 years ago back to Vietnam gave me the opportunity to see my old friends, my old classmates, and my old neighbors. I openly talk about my painful past and my guilt feeling of leaving Vietnam. I was reassured by all my old friends that they understood my dilemma and they forgave me. That put a closure to my traumatic past. The nightmare stopped. I'm so appreciative of the kindness and hospitality of the American people. I still maintain my strong ties with my Vietnamese and Chinese communities. But I'm no longer worried about which group I belong to. I am an American now. This is my country. This is where I belong. This is where I fit the best. This is where I can work and live my full life. Thank you for listening. God bless America.